A beautiful morning to you. You're welcome to Sports Talk on your dial, which you fed the Atlantic Television Network. And of course, we're ready to bring you up to speed with the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports this morning. Top one menu, seven fencers to represent Nigeria in China. And coming in from tennis, a British tennis star exits Miami Open. And in football, Cameroon dropped points at World Cup qualifiers. These and many more will be yours after the short timeout. Please stay with us. You're welcome back at Steve Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, I told you we'll bring you the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports. And joining me this morning to take a look at some interesting issues on Bulletin is Emmanuel Michael. Michael, good morning to you and welcome to the show.
A beautiful morning to you, Kingsley, and good morning to our viewers out there. Always a delight to be here.
All right, let's quickly take a look at some interesting issue coming from the world of archery. As the Southwest Games 2025 draws near, archery stars are preparing for an exciting showdown in Lagos, highlighting the sport's growing popularity in the city. With Lagos becoming a key center for archery, the competition is expected to give more athletes a chance to shine and help the sport to grow even further. The multi-sport event set to take place from 25th to 29th of March will feature archery along with football, athletics, basketball, boxing, table tennis, and volleyball. And the National Sport Commission has promised full support, including technical guidance and logistics, to ensure the event runs smoothly and meet high standard. The Southwest Games 2025 promises to be a memorable event, bringing together modern and traditional sports while encouraging teamwork, resilience, and excellence across the region. Michael, what do you make of this one, the Southwest competition coming up very soon in Lagos?
I think we're expecting a massive, showcase of a great display from the players. Although archery is not one of the mainstay sports in Nigeria, not just in Nigeria but in Africa to be precise. Archery is more like an alien game. We don't pay much attention to archery, and that is why when we go for the Commonwealth game, the Olympic game, and other international competition, you hardly hear that an African country did so well, or exceptionally well in an archery event, just because we've not been able to develop that area. We've not been able to make it a major sporting activity for us right here. So it's not just Nigeria, but then good a thing that Nigeria is trying to do something very special in the area of archery, and that is why we are seeing the Western archery competition. And of course, Lagos State, one of the first states in the country to take that massive step. Don't forget, 3 years ago, Lagos State actually organized this same archery event. Then they were trying to scout for new players and got one from Oshodi, then from Jengule, cut across Lagos City in different areas. And since then, I think they've been holding it down, trying to maintain the level of trying to develop the archery game. So I hope that it actually goes well, and I hope that there are some scouting teams especially that will be on ground to actually keep close tab with the event, so as to see how they can be able to see one or two good players and then pick them from then on. Maybe you can get something moving. But I tell you, it's been a special one, and we are hoping to see the best of the talent that we have right here in the country, especially within the Western region, and see how we can be able to forge on from there. But I tell you, it's something very special, and I believe that if other regional blocks is towing this same line, there's no way in 2 or 3 years' time that we cannot be able to develop the game of archery. Pick 2 or 3 or even 4 great players, add to what we have in the national team, and that is how we continue to build. So this is just what I'm hoping to see, especially the scouts on ground that can be able to properly keep a close tap on this championship, so as to select 1 or 2 players that can also add value to the country.
Let's of course keep our fingers crossed and see how this Southwest Games, of course, is going to pan out at the end of the day. Archery, of course, is one of the sports we're going to be seeing in this particular one. But away from that, the Nigerian Fencing Federation has picked a 7-member squad for next month's World Junior Fencing Championship in Wuxi, China, from April 7 to 15. Leading the team is Nigeria's highest-ranked fencer, Ikosi Bru, who has been highly active this year, participating in numerous tournaments in his quest to become the first Nigerian to compete in the Olympic fencing events. Bro ranked 22nd in the junior category by the International Fencing Federation, brings a wealth of experience and is expected to guide the team in China. He will be joined by home-based fencer Wisdom or Kalawon, who will participate in the training camp preceding the tournament. Okalawon, a rising star among African top fencers, will benefit from the training camp, which features some of the world's finest coaches. This experience will be invaluable for the young athletes. And Apolona Akinbomiro, who made her debut for Nigeria at the recent African Junior Championship in Angola, will also compete in China, aiming to make a significant impact and establish herself in the sport as well. Michael, this another sport that is not really, of course, popular even down here in the country. You're talking about fencing, but we have talent who are really making it out there. The likes of Bru, and the rest of them. What do you make of fencing? Before we talk about the tournaments in China, what do you make of the growth of fencing in the country?
It is one that we need to give the president a thumbs up, because despite the challenges, despite the hurdle of financial paucity, despite the challenges of not being looked into so as to appropriate financial strength to that federation so as to enable them continue the development of fencing. But then the president, sometime last year, when they were about to head for an international championship to represent the country, the president actually cried for fun under the then led Minister of Sports, as it were, John Owaneno. But they were told to go source for fund for themselves, possibly ask for friends or even family, just because they want to go and represent their fatherland. You are telling some of the fencers that are still students to go source for fund. Then, is that an encouragement or discouragement? It was a total discouragement. I am about to represent my fatherland in an international competition. I asked for funds for help us prepare. You are telling me to go and seek for money personally somewhere that the federation doesn't have any money. I mean, it was more like a knock for the president and for the fencing team. But then, despite that challenge, the president stood firm. He rallied around to source for funds, took the team, they went for that championship. Though they did not do pretty well, but then they were able to represent the country. So that alone is a pointer or indicator to the fact that fencing is not paid much attention to, because if it were to be football, basketball, athletics, there's no way that the then Minister of Sport will tell the Athletic Federation or the NFF that there is no money appropriated for them to attend the international championship. So I must commend the president, honestly speaking, because there were at some points, they came across the cul-de-sac, the end of the road, where you look as though going front is a problem, coming back was a problem. At that point, if you were not to be a president that thinks outside the box, you would just decide to resign, because you are given an appointment more like the head of a department, but then the needed support is not given for you to adequately discharge your job effectively. So at that point, he should have resigned, and nobody will blame him, but the man stood firm. He passed through the hurdles, and today we are seeing fencing taking a massive leap. We are growing trajectory. If you take a look at the last 8 months appearance in one of the key, even during the qualifiers of some of these tournaments, we did pretty well, and we continue to grow. So I think for me, we need to give thumbs up. Thank God that Malam Shehu Diko, under the leadership of the National Sport Commission, and Bukola Olakbade, they are paying such attention to every sporting facet, because according to the mandate and the vision of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, they want to use sport as a mainstay, as more like an economic tools for us. Don't forget this year's budget alone, they are looking at using sport in the near future to add about 3-point-something%, in terms of the budgetary allocation. Then in terms of the QAbles, that will be added to the national development, talking about the GDP, which is our gross domestic product. So if at that juncture, the National Sport Commission, through the benevolence of Mr. President, has appropriated a huge sum of money for sporting activity or for the sporting federation so far this year, I think the best we could do is to properly overhaul the sporting ecosystem in Nigeria, pay attention to some of the relatively unknown sport that in time past we do not put into cognizance. We're just known for football, then we talk about athletics at some point. But then, if you take a look at this year's budgeting, I mean, it behoves on the National Sport Commission to ensure that sport generally is adequately developed. So for me, I think if the direction or the thoughts of the Malam Shehu Diko-led National Sport Commission is in tandem with that of the vision of Mr. President, I think we can even continue to grow and continue to develop some of this game that is relatively unknown, and possibly in the near future, will become a giant in some of those, sports that is not well known right here in Africa.
All right, talking about the competition in China, with the talents we have on ground at this point, to talk about the likes of Buru, Wisdom, do you think, of course, we stand a chance, win this particular one in China?
Well, first, I think for me personally, we shouldn't be even talking about we going out there to win the top prize. But then, it is also a mandate that you are going to represent your father's land the way, the first mentality is to go there and win. That is it. But then, if you take a look at the realities on ground, have we been able to adequately shape our own players, give them the needed standard equipment to train with? Have they gotten the financial incentive over the years? Had they been sent for, refreshment course, maybe to go to abroad to get that exposure that they need? These are questions that we need to ask ourselves if we want to be realistic with ourselves. Are there, in a proper frame of atmosphere that we should go there and compete against some of the players that have been training with the best facilities in the world, that have gotten this exposure? These are things that we need to put into consideration, and I don't think that we've been able to develop to that extent where we say, okay, we can now begin to rank our players in the same par with their European counterparts or the Asians, name it. So for me, I think that should be, for me, outside of the equation. We going out there to win or going out there to make a mark. But then I think we should just go there, gain the experience that we truly need, do our best, and come back and try to build up from the experience and the exposure that some of the players have gotten. So going out there to win the competition, outside of the equation for me, I think going out there to gain the needed requisite experience should be key, and we can also build from that going forward.
All right, let's see how it goes, for the fencers. We hope that they continue their impressive performance down there in China. But away from that, let's talk boxing. Former two-time heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua could be in line this time around, could be in line for a shot at the WBO title, as Alexander Usyk is expected to relinquish the belt to pursue unification bouts with IBF champion Dana Dubois. The WBO has ordered Usyk to defend his title against mandatory challenger Joseph Parker, but the Ukrainian heavyweight champion is reportedly prioritizing the fight with Dana Dubois instead. Now, this development could open the door for Joshua to challenge Parker for the WBO belt, despite his recent fifth round knockout loss to Daniel Dubois. Meanwhile, Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn recently revealed that the British star is only interested in facing either Tyson Fury or a rematch with Daniel Dubois at this point in time. Mike, is this the right time for Joshua, of course, to look at that fight against Joseph Parker at this point? Also, talking about his promoter Eddie Hearn, saying the man is focused on fighting Tyson Fury, who has retired. We don't know if he's back already, but the last time we heard of Tyson Fury was him announcing his retirement, once again. At this point in time, what do you think should be the direction for Anthony Joshua?
It's very simple. The direction for Anthony Joshua should be to get himself ready and try to see if he can be able to square off against either Daniel Dubois or Joseph Parker. The much attention being focused to the camp of camp of Tyson Fury, who has retired. For me, I do not really understand. The fight between Tyson Fury, between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua was long overdue, and that is when Anthony Joshua was still having that relevance. And you talk about Tyson Fury, he was still up there. So many British boxing followers and other boxing followers across the globe had, for long waited to see that bout between the two British boxers, talking about Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. That did not come to materialization until both of them went out of maybe reckoning per se, because Tyson Fury, beaten twice by Alexander Usyk, lost all his bets. Anthony Joshua, beaten twice by the same Alexander Usyk, lost everything, all of his bets. They are no longer relevant. So why focusing much attention to fight Tyson Fury at this point in time, where you know that what you need at this point in time is that big fight that can be able to relaunch you back into the big stage? So I think for me, it would be an effort in futility for the camp of Joshua to exert so much energy that they want to fight a retired man in Tyson Fury. What is he going to gain there? Is it the hype? Does any hype come with that one? I do not think so. Many of the boxing followers has actually lost their quest or taste to see that big fight. I do not think, if I hear that today Anthony Joshua want to take on Tyson Fury, I will not be that excited. What am I going to watch there? Nothing. So I think most of the attention should be focused or channeled towards trying to strike a deal between Anthony Joshua.
That's a big fight. Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. Yes, we understand it's long overdue. There's a fight that so many persons have been anticipating, but it's going to mean a lot for both boxers, to me, because if Joshua, after suffering several defeats, bounces back and maybe have to defeat Fury, everybody like, wow, so this was what we were expecting since. Okay, Joshua of course will get the praise, the hype of course will be on him. That means Joshua has a lot of course in him at this point. If Fury comes up and then beats Joshua once again, oh, so definitely Fury was actually maybe stronger than Anthony Joshua, or possibly yes, could definitely beat Anthony Joshua. So that hype, that praise, of course, will also be accorded to the winner of that bout, and that gives you more relevance. Yes, it gives you more relevance. Oh, Joshua is back. He has beaten Fury. Who else can he dominate? Can he stabilize his performance going forward? But going probably maybe looking for a trilogy against Usyk and see if he can dominate, once again and all of that. So for me, I think it's going to give both boxers prominence, and then probably bring them back, to limelight a bit. And maybe they can also build on that. And don't forget the money aspect of it. What that fight, of course, could possibly accrue for both boxers.
That is for you. But in general terms, there is nothing to, be hopeful about this fight. We can't even be even talking about a fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. A Tyson Fury that has retired. Should that be, a debate or discussion? Not unless if the man, changes his mind to say, "Oh, I've come out of retirement," and Anthony Joshua, you always hear him, but he has not officially launched. It's not even 6 months that he said that he has retired. So we should just let that one be until maybe the man really launches himself back and say, "Okay, I've come out of retirement," before we even start talking about Anthony Joshua fighting Tyson Fury, which for me it's a fight that so many people have lost the interest for. It doesn't really hold any water for the World Boxing Council. They won't take it serious. It doesn't even give them that needed pause. How many people are going to stream it online all over the world?
This is fight.
It's a big fight then, not now. It's a big fight. Both boxers have lost relevance. None of the boxers hold any belt. And no even serious boxer who want to even fight these two boxers as it is presently, because there's nothing to fight for. Their career has been battered, tattered, and tattooed.
Anthony Joshua is one who has that personality to, attract money whenever he's in the ring. You would definitely want to stream Anthony Joshua's fight. You would definitely want to buy a ticket, no matter how shattered, just like you mentioned, his career has been. Joshua gets into the ring, he has that fans appeal. That's one thing about Anthony Joshua. So him getting into the ring, he might not go in with the belts, but the money aspect, if you're a boxer, you want to go in and cash out as well.
This is not a big fight for anybody to cash out. The world of boxing is categorized. Before you talk about cashing out, you need to also take a look at the categories of the boxing. You need to take a look at the relevance of the boxers that is coming to fight.
Are they not relevant anymore?
I will say this for the often time, Kingsley, that these two boxers are no longer relevant again in the world of boxing. That is the simple truth. The man Tyson Fury is aging. He has been beaten twice by Alexander Usyk, and people have now come to terms that this man just makes noise. He doesn't have anything.
So talking about relevance, if Anthony Joshua and Joseph Parker should get into the ring, who do you think should get the larger chunk of the money?
Talking about larger chunk of money, I think Anthony Joshua for now will be even hopeful to lock on against Joseph Parker, because presently Joseph Parker has more relevance than Anthony Joshua.
Are you serious?
Yes, of course. That is just the truth.
So your team,
Parker
will earn more than Joshua?
Until we get to that bridge, we'll cross. But there's one thing you need to know, that we don't base the relevance of boxing stake on probably your past achievements. All right? That you've won this in the past and won that in the past, then subsequently you came to a crash where all that you've won in the past no longer counts for, because your present condition has totally altered that achievement of the past. All right? Presently, I tell you, Joseph Parker is relevant compared to Anthony Joshua, who has lost all his belts. In fact, it is so disappointing that not just losing to Alexander Usyk, but when he had that glorious chance of trying to relaunch back his battered career against a certain Daniel Dubois, when there was a belt at stake, the IBO belt, he lost woefully against Daniel Dubois. Come on. That was the height of it. He saw so many retired boxers came out to say, oh, I've been saying this in the past, that Anthony Joshua is not that good. Some began to throw tantrums, so we were even advising him to call it quits this time around. So it is so bad for Anthony Joshua that what he needs at this point in time is a serious fight that can be able to relaunch him back into the big stage, and not to fight an old war horse that has retired. You are channeling your energy to fight somebody who is on retirement? No.
All right, let's see how this one, of course, will go down at the end of the day. We'll look forward to see the direction of Anthony Joshua. Is he going to go for Tyson Fury or let's say Joseph Parker at this point in time? We'll see what comes up for Anthony Joshua. But let's talk tennis, as British #1 Katie Botta was knocked out of the first round of the Miami Open yesterday following a straight set defeat by Pelton Stan. The 28-year-old had lost to the world number 43 on their previous two meetings, and the American once again had the measures of her as she won 6-4, 6-2. Stan would next face 27th seed Ellison Martins in the second round. Botta was making a comeback from his foot injury that sidelined her from 2 months after the Australian Open in January. And still talking tennis this morning, Emma Raducanu's coaching trial with Vladimir Vlatanic is over after just 2 weeks. The British #2 won her Miami Open first round match against Japanese teenager Sayaka in straight sets yesterday. However, Vlatanic was absent from her coaching boss having flown to California 2 days before Raducanu's first round defeat by Moyuka in Indian Wells earlier this month. The two had been training together in the run-up to this week's tournament, but the brief trial ended on Tuesday, and the 2021 U.S. Open champion has been without a permanent coach since Nick Cavady stood down for health reasons after January's Australian Open. Michael, Emerald Raducanu still yet to get a permanent coach. She just, of course, a trial with the current coach, just ended. It didn't even last long. I think that was about 2 weeks or thereabout. What do you make of it, Emerald Raducanu and another coach problem?
It is, they are more like 5 and 6. Emerald Raducanu with coaching issue. Less than 2 weeks, the trial is over for this very coach. Maybe it is better to let the coach go than to keep him for a very long time, and when major competition gets underway, we just hear that he has been fired. So I think it was more like a mutual agreement between both player and the coach. So for me, for Emerald Raducanu, I think he continued to make the trial not until he get maybe the coach of his choice or her choice before we now begin to talk about conversation on what she can be able to achieve, because presently she's not stable in terms of a coach, and if you are not stable in having one coach, it could go a whole long way and in demarcating your presence in major competition, because if you don't have a regular coach that can be able to take you through the latest skills and do 1 or 2 adjustments to reshape your career, it could be very difficult for you to get at the apex and compete at the highest level. So this has been her bane. Changing coaches every now and then, it doesn't really help, because you are not having a stable coach with a steady tactics. It's either you change your tactics today or you change in the next game, which for me it doesn't really make sense. But I think she knows what she wants. If she's making testing to see the coach that will probably fit her game, it is for her own good. What we just need is that steady and stable performance from Emerald Raducanu, because don't forget, there were some points where Emerald Raducanu was the name in the lips of so many tennis followers because of her impressive show. Not until we begin to see that relapse or that drop in her performance, and we began to see this inconsistency. There the coaching issue pops up that every now and then. So I think for me, all this is not going to help her in maintaining stability in the world of WTA. So the earlier the better for her to look for a permanent coach. Is going to be a good one for her. But if she doesn't, then I tell you, maybe we'll just continue to hear the name once in a while making a mark, but we'll begin to hear some new names. Don't forget, we have a new kid on the block, Miria Andreeva, 17-year-old, doing pretty well. So with this kind of players at young age, squaring up against a world #1, world #2, making mark for themselves, and you think of a player that have, in time past, more like a regular name at some point began to drop. How can she compete with these young gems of this? So for me, that is my own worry. The earlier the better, like I said, for her to look for a permanent coach is going to help in reshaping her career.
All right, still talking tennis, Nikiro said he feared he would never play tennis again after claiming his first ATP Tour victory since 2022 yesterday. The Australian fought back from a set down to beat Mackenzie McDonald 3-6-6, 3-6-4 at the Miami Open. Nikiro has struggled with injuries in the past 2 years and retired from the first round of the Indian Wells earlier this month because of an issue with his right wrist, on which he had surgery in September 2023. Prior to that, the 29-year-old has also struggled with knee and foot injuries over an 18-month period before making his return at the start of the year at the Australian Open. Nikirios will next face Russian Karim Kakhanov, but he's being cautious over just how much he can play given his wrist injury. We'll take a break now. When we'll come back from the break, of course, to bring you some interesting results coming from the NBA, and not forgetting the beautiful world of football. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back, Steve Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network. I will bring you the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sport this morning. Let's talk about the NBA as we saw some results early hours of today. Indiana Pacers, they of course beat Stella Mavericks by 135 to 31 early hours of today. Orlando Magic lost to hosting Rocket 116 to 108. Miami Heat, they lost to Detroit Pistons 116 to 110. The New Orleans Pelicans 119 to 100, and the Philadelphia 76ers by 133 to 100 in that particular encounter. And San Antonio Spurs, of course, got past New York Knicks 120 to 105. Utah Jazz got past Washington Wizards 128 to 112, and LA Lakers beats Chicago Bulls 127 to 121. Portland Trail Blazers, of course, they got past Memphis Grizzlies 115 to 99. Sacramento Kings were able to, of course, prove their kingship against the Cleveland Cavaliers. It ended 123 to 119. That was a very, very impressive one down there from the Sacramento Kings. But let's quickly move on as we bring you the result from the second stanza of the Nigerian Women Football League. Rivers Angels continue their impeccable performance in the ongoing 2024 and 2025 Nigerian Women Football League after snatching the maximum point against Adamawa Queens. The Jewels of Rivers came from a goal down to beat the host 2-1 at the Lafayette City Stadium in the second stanza of the league, with goals coming from Taiwo Afolabi and Temilade Oluwaseun own goal at the death. As well, Edo Queens got the better of Ekiti Queens with a 1-0 away win in Ilorin, while Benue Queens suffered 4-0 loss to visiting Niger Rattles. In Yenugua, Bayelsa Queens beat Robo Queens 3-0, while Abia Angels defeated Danas Ladies 2-0 in Umoya. Nigerian Women Football League Premiership Match, the 8th result, of course, was a very, very impressive. But Michael, let's start with Rivers Angels. The unbeaten run, of course, continues in the second stanza of the league.
Great display from them. We hope to see them lifting the trophy. That would be a good one. But then there's still a long way to go because the Edo Queens are not even backing down. Then you talk about Remo Stars, the ladies up there as well. So I think they should just continue to, put their foot on the pedal and continue to press hard, till the end of the season.
Impressive one, of course, for Rivers Angels, and it was also a lovely one for Igbo Angels, starting the second stanza of the league with a very fine fashion. They beat Delta Queens by 1-0.
For Delta Queens, I think they've lost that Midas touch of recent. Delta Queens usually were one of the teams that always show strength and character, but then this season I think it's not, the same again. But then for Igbo Angels, surprisingly doing pretty well, where their male counterpart, talking about Rivers, Aqua United, is having a very dismal season so far. Igbo Angels, yeah, I think this may just be what is helping to cushion the negative criticism of their fans against Aqua United. So if Igbo Angels are doing pretty well, maybe this will help to douse the tension that Aqua United followers are having out there.
All right, let's quickly move down to the Federation Cup as we saw some interesting results over the weekend. I beg your pardon, also some interesting results yesterday where Sunshine Stars, of course, were able to go down. They beat Sunshine on the 19 team, were able to beat Warri Wolves 2-0. We saw Ikorodu City played 1-1 draw against their opponents. Yes, I think Ikorodu City, yes, they actually played against Sunshine on the 19th side. Yes, they played 1-1 draw, but were able to get past them on penalties 4-3. Why, of course, Warri Wolves were able to put up a very impressive performance against Weavers FC, ended 2-0 down there. Wiki Tories, of course, got past Ede FC by 1-0. Rovers FC beat Agbajo FC by 4-1. Crown FC trashed Nosmas by 7-1. Beyond Limits were able to cruise past Crusaders 4-1. Rivers United got past Barrow FC by 2 goals to 1, and Aqua United also beat Kirby United 2 goals to 1. Talking about Aqua United, Kennedy Boboye has actually talked about going to the continent through the President Cup. How possible is that? They just got their first win.
It's very, very possible. Maybe that is where they are channeling their energy to, and that is why they are not doing very well in the league. They knew it that in the league it would be very difficult one for them to come out of that relegation. Even if they do come out of the relegation battle in the league, they will not make a continental, football. So this could be another major target for them to use this Federations Cup more like a makeshift to head to the continent. It's a very good idea, but then there is still a very long way to go. We still have other top teams out there, in the Federations Cup. We'll just keep our fingers crossed, hoping to see how he can be able to perform this miracle, because if he do take Aqua United to the continent via the Federation Cup, that will be more like a miracle for me. So thank God that we'll be alive by God's grace to see how that miracle comes to fruition.
All right, let's see how it goes for Aqua United. Italy goes beat Sokoto United by 5 goals to 0, and we saw the likes of Lobby Stars. They beat Discovery Talent 2 goals to 1. Troubling Lobby Stars, you say. Solution FC beat Eagle Stars by 2 goals to 0. Aqua United beat Senegal FC by 2 goals to 0. Gombe United beat Assemblies of God 3 goals to 0, and Sunshine Stars beat FC Bako 2 goals to 0. Plateau United beat Ahudi Yanem 2 goals to 1. Ushu United got past Family Worship Camp 2 goals to 1. Some of the names in this President Cup, are really, really, exciting. We saw ABS, they lost to E-World 2 goals to 1, and Bender Insurance, of course, I also saw them in an impressive, fashion in that one. Adama United were able to play 1-1 draw against Warringe FC, but they got the better in that one via penalty, 6-5 in that one. Let's quickly stay away from the Federation Cup as we take a look at, the latest coming from the camp of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. It is really getting interesting. Michael, second training section went down yesterday. What do you make of the synergy in the camp?
Good one. We just want to see them continue with this vibe and possibly go and get us all 3 points. That is all we desire for at this point.
And of course, let's see how this one, of course, will go down for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We hope, they get this one done. And still talking about the World Cup qualifiers, Cameroon were held to a shock goalless draw away to unfancied Eswatini as African qualifying for the 2026 World Cup resumed yesterday. Eswatini are ranked 159th in the world, 110 places below the center.
More like a problem, and that is why they had a very dismal out in the last African Cup of Nations. In fact, we even defeated them, when we came up against them, and it was so bad for them that they nearly had more like trouble in their accounts. But since then, I think Cameroon have not been able to reshape themselves back into that African powerhouse that they are known for in terms of African football. Disappointing one, teams like Eswatini